Mickey van der Ven speaks after the North London derby defeat and states that the club's current plight is unacceptable as Spurs find themselves dragged in to an alarming relegation scrap. Igor Tudor's blunt appraisal of the Tottenham squad as he emphasises the need to work daily to reverse negative habits and rebuild team mentality. And Tudor states that the team must address its shortcomings if it's to avoid relegation trouble, stating, "We need to change our habits and our state of mind." Here are your daily Tottenham news headlines. Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's Craig and here are your daily Tottenham news headlines, but I'll be going through all the latest news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube and are not already as yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Like, share and comment below. And if you're listening on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. And please make sure you turn on the notification bell so you get notified whenever we go live or upload a video to the channel. And finally, Chris and I will be taking on a charity event at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on 19th of March. Here are all the details.
Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowling here. Now myself and channel regular Craig Dearman will be supporting the London Ambulance charity by taking part in the big stadium abseil on the 19th of March 2026. Now, I've got to say, I actually did the Skywalk a couple of years ago, and this was a big thing for me because I am not that fond of heights, and neither is Craig, to be honest. But this time it is going to be completely different because we are both abseiling down the side of the South Stand, and we are absolutely petrified. Now, the London Ambulance Service actually approached us to do this to raise as much money as we can for them. I couldn't turn this down because, of course, this place is very close to my heart. Now, we will be descending down 42 metres back to the ground, raising vital funds for life-saving equipment and CPR training across London, as well as supporting well-being initiatives for the dedicated staff. Now, if you can help us and donate anything you can, the link is on the screen now. It is www.justgiving.com/page/Tottenham Stadium, and your support is always really appreciated. Now, if you'd actually like to get involved and join Craig and I on the 19th of March at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium by taking part in the Skywalk and abseiling down the side of the South Stand, it would be great to see you there cheering us on, and we can also cheer you on as well. But get involved, visit the London Ambulance website for all of the details, and thank you so much for all of your incredible support.
Okay, let's get into it. Team Talk report that Mickey van der Ven has admitted the club's current plight is unacceptable as Spurs find themselves dragged into an alarming relegation scrap. The North London side sits 16th in the Premier League table, just 4 points above the drop zone after a run of damaging results that has left supporters stunned and anxious in equal measure. The humiliating 4-1 home defeat to arch-rivals Arsenal for their 8th loss at home this season intensified the sense of crisis around the club. Van der Ven did not hide from the scale of the problem, speaking candidly about the situation. The Dutch centre-back described Tottenham's league position as unacceptable for a club of its stature and resources. He acknowledged the mental toll recent performances have taken on the squad and admitted confidence has been shaken by the slide down the table. However, the 23-year-old also called for senior figures within the dressing room to take responsibility. Van der Ven insisted he would shoulder part of that burden himself, but stressed that experienced teammates must now lead by example in the battle to secure Premier League survival. Among those he believes must step up are fellow defender Christian Romero, goalkeeper Guillermo Vicario, midfielder João Palhinha and striker Dominic Solanke. The message was clear. Experience and leadership are now vital as Spurs attempt to steady the the ship. Van der Ven was equally adamant that younger players cannot be left to carry the weight of the crisis alone. Instead, he believes it is a responsibility of established internationals to create stability, raise standards in training and restore belief on match days. Interim head coach Igor Tudor has also acknowledged the scale of the challenge. The Croatian reportedly described the Tottenham side as full of problems, conceding that both tactical and psychological issues must be addressed quickly. Tudor is said to be focusing on instilling greater discipline, compactness and aggression as he seeks an immediate improvement in performances. For a club that had ambitions of European qualification not so long ago, the prospect of a genuine relegation battle represents a dramatic and sobering fall. Spurs have not dropped out of the top flight in decades, but unless form swiftly improves, the unthinkable may edge closer to reality. The coming weeks will no doubt define Tottenham's season and perhaps more. Football.London, among many others, report that newly appointed interim head coach Igor Tudor has issued a stark assessment of Tottenham Hotspur's current plight as he attempts to steady the club in deep trouble with injuries and poor results threatening their Premier League status. Tudor, 47, arrived at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium this month after the club relieved Thomas Frank of his duties, of course, with Spurs perched precariously in 16th place, just a few points above the relegation zone. The Croatian coach, known for his fiery attitude and stints at clubs such as Juventus and Lazio, has been tasked with rescuing the Lily-White season until the end of the 25-26 campaign. In his post-match presser, Tudor offered a blunt appraisal of the squad's deficiencies, emphasising the need to work daily to reverse negative habits and rebuild team mentality. He had previously given a 100% guarantee that Spurs will avoid relegation, insisting his sole focus is on hard work rather than comfort or excuses. "I'm here to work," the manager said, underlining his commitment to improve performance despite a threadbare squad and mounting pressures. Tudor's early days have been dominated by Tottenham's severe injury list. Among those sidelined is key midfielder Dejan Kulusevski, who has not featured since undergoing knee surgery in May 2025. Reports suggest he remains in rehabilitation, with expectations of a return within the next 8 to 12 weeks, though no exact return date has been confirmed. Other absentees, of course, include James Maddison, Lucas Bergvall, Mohamed Kudus and Wilson Odobert, leaving Tudor with only around 13 senior players available for training ahead of yesterday's match. In his post-match press conference and analysis, Tudor refused to sugarcoat the performance, urging his players to become serious and address fundamental issues such as effort, intensity and cohesion, areas he believes have been lacking. With a congested fixture list approaching and Tottenham dangerously close to the drop, the club's focus will now be on blending tactical discipline with resilience. Tudor brings a new voice of authority, but whether he can transform Spurs' frailties into survival-class determination remains the defining narrative of the season. And Gibby Sport report that in a sobering Premier League afternoon at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Tottenham Hotspur suffered a 4-1 defeat to North London rivals Arsenal, leaving the newly appointed interim head coach Igor Tudor deeply critical of his squad and candid about the challenges ahead. The result, which came in Tudor's first game in charge, underscored the gulfing quality between the two sides. Tottenham briefly drew level through Randall Kolo Muani after Arsenal had taken the lead, but the Gunners, led by 2 goals each from Eberechi Eze and Victor Gyökeres, ultimately ran away with the contest. After the match, Tudor did not mince his words. He conceded that Arsenal were probably the best team in the world at the moment and acknowledged a wide gap in quality and mentality between Spurs and their rivals. Tudor stressed that the defeat exposed the harsh reality of Tottenham's current predicament and said the team must address its shortcomings if it is to avoid relegation trouble. "We need to change our habits and our state of mind," Tudor told reporters, describing the squad with too many problems that has struggled for confidence and cohesion. He called on his players to look at themselves, work harder and develop the physicality and intensity required at the highest level. The result leaves Spurs just 4 points above the Premier League relegation zone, with supporters voicing frustration as optimism for Tudor's appointment rapidly faded. Arsenal, leading the Premier League, restored a 5-point advantage at the top of the table with the derby victory, and manager Mikel Arteta described the performance as a turning point for his title bid, praising the character and execution of his players while contrasting Spurs' struggles. For Tottenham, the task ahead remains daunting with 11 league games left and confidence depleted. Tudor's blunt appraisal of his squad highlights both the scale of and challenge and the intensity of work required to keep Spurs in England's top flight. Okay, here's my thoughts on those stories today. To be honest, I'll just cover it off as a whole. Van der Ven speaking out again. We've had so many of these interviews this season, haven't we, with players standing up there, whether it be Mickey Van der Ven or Christian Romero or whoever it is, just apologising and saying we need to do better. It's becoming, I can't blame them not wanting to come out and speak, but, you know, that's what you got to do if you're a captain or a senior player. That's what you got to do. They must get bored of saying the same thing, but only they can turn it around. And yes, we've got a myriad of injuries, we all know that, but Spurs somehow now need to dig deep and fight and get out of this relegation battle, because that's what we're in. That's what it is. You know, it is no good sugarcoating it. We are deep in trouble at the moment, and it is hard to see where the next win is coming from and the next points are coming from. I actually thought we was going to get a bit of a bounce on Sunday. New manager, but it just goes to show that when you're playing a team, and I hate to say this, but playing a team like Arsenal and where they are in their development, they are so much further forward. They haven't got the injuries we've got, and they're just a better side at the moment, you have to say it. So it was always going to be a difficult game, the North London derby, and it's a game, of course, we all want to win. It's the game we all want to win. And we just, we drew level, didn't we? We looked like we were at it. I do honestly think that disallowed goal, it shouldn't have been disallowed, and that could have been a turning point. But Arsenal were the stronger side across the 90 minutes. So you have to say that, you know, it would have been difficult to get something out of the game. But at some points, we looked like we were still in it. And then after that point, we weren't, and Arsenal, I wouldn't say ran away with it, but it was quite comfortable for them, let's be honest. So where next for Tottenham? Well, Fulham away in the next game, of course, and Tudor's going to have a bit more time this week. We've got 7 days between the games, so hopefully he can get a couple of players back from injury on the training pitch. Reports Pedro Porro might be back, for example. So hopefully we can get players back. Hopefully you can get into these players and just change that mentality, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done mentally with these players. They just look on the bones of their backsides, and somebody needs to pick them up, and that's Tudor's job. That's Tudor's job, to instill that confidence in these players. It's going to be difficult to change the way that they play. There was a video going around yesterday that Chris released of him shouting at the defence of Mickey Van der Ven to get up the pitch, and that's going to be difficult for them to change that, because they've been in this mode with Thomas Frank and how he wanted them to defend. That you can't just change that and switch that on in 4 to 5 days to become a natural thing. I remember Ange used to talk about that. It was, he can shout at them, but it's when things click. When they're doing these things naturally, that's when you know you've got your points across. It's going to be incredibly difficult for Tudor to get that across in such a short space of time. I think, to be honest, us Spurs fans, we all want to see stylish, attractive football. At the moment, all we want to see is points on the board now. I think that's what it comes down to. And I don't think any of us care really much how we play. We just need to get those points on the board at the moment, and to hell with everything else, because the teams around us, the West Hams, the Forests, the Leeds, even Palace, they're used to being in this situation. We are not, our players are not, and that's what concerns me. Have these players got the fight to get out of this? I truly hope so. They're all internationals, they're all professional footballers. You would hope that they've got the mental nous to get themselves out of it. Essentially, they've got themselves into it, and now Thomas Frank takes a huge slice of the blame there, but these players have got to step up as well now. The players have got to take the blame. The players have got to show that they want to stay in the Premier League, that they want to stay at this club in the Premier League, because did I see enough yesterday? I saw spells in the first half that were half decent, to be honest with you. I thought it was encouraging, but the second half was pretty poor, to be honest with you. And it was difficult to see how we were going to hold on in the end. And as I say, of course, we all know what the scoreline was. So over the next few weeks, I think there's definitely some more winnable games, some games where we can get points on the board. But yesterday definitely highlighted exactly where we are. Yes, we've got massive amount of injuries. We've got almost a whole team out injured. But the remaining players just need to step up now and do something about this slide. And let's get those points on the board. Personally, I think we need 9 or 10 and we'll be out of it. So if we can get them, we can all kind of breathe a sigh of relief. But, you know, there is a part of me that thinks this could go right to the end of the season and down to the last game, and that would not be good for the nerves, would it? But get down in the comments, let me know your thoughts on yesterday's North London derby. Anything else you want to talk about as a Tottenham Hotspur fan right now. And as always, come on you Spurs.